Welcome to AI Scholar. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a man and a company that are, quite literally, at the absolute epicenter of the AI revolution. We're talking about a force so powerful, it's being compared to a titan from mythology.
And believe me, that's not just some clever meme floating around. This idea of NVIDIA as Atlas, holding the entire stock market on its shoulders, it really gets at the incredible economic and technological weight this company is carrying right now. And right at the center of it all is one indispensable figure.
So let's pull back the curtain and meet the architect himself, Jensen Huang. And you've got to understand, he's not just another CEO. Nope, he's considered a key member of this very exclusive club.
Yeah, the architects of AI. So what does that even mean? Well, think of them as the people laying down the absolute bedrock, the foundational hardware that our entire AI-powered world is being built on top of. And Jensen Huang's vision for what he's building, let's just say ambitious, is putting it mildly. I mean, he's on record saying AI is the single most impactful technology of our time. Think about that for a second. Of all time. That's a huge statement. So the big question is, right, how does a belief like that actually translate into real-world power? Well, as you're about to see, the numbers, they tell a pretty staggering story.
Yeah, this isn't just about a vision. It's about a vision that has built an absolute economic juggernaut. We're going to dive into some figures now that are, and I'm not exaggerating here, completely rewriting the rules of the global economy.
Okay, so it all boils down to this. Right here, NVIDIA has what's basically a near monopoly on the one thing everyone in AI is desperate to get their hands on. Those advanced chips. The very engines powering this whole revolution. And it's simple, really. If you control the engine, you control the race.
And that kind of control? Well, it led directly to this absolutely incredible milestone. For a time, NVIDIA became the single most valuable company on the entire planet. Yeah, they eclipsed giants that have been dominating the market for decades.
Oh, but they didn't stop there. Not even close. The company went on to shatter a barrier that no one had ever crossed before, becoming the world's first $5 trillion company. But here's the wild part. For Jensen Huang, a number like that, that's not the peak. He sees it as just the starting line.
So, all that talk about an AI bubble? He just dismisses it completely. Instead, he makes this wild prediction. He thinks AI is going to quintuple, 5x, the world's entire economic output. We're talking about going from a global GDP of around $100 trillion to an almost unimaginable $500 trillion. Just look at that jump.
Okay, but this level of power, it's not just about the money. It goes way beyond that. It's political. We've officially entered an era where a tiny piece of silicon, a computer chip, has become a primary tool of global strategy and, statecraft. I mean, think about this phrase. NVIDIA has become an instrument of statecraft. That's not something you say about your average tech company. This is a huge shift. We're not just talking about software anymore. We're talking about the physical hardware that underpins global power, and it's being woven right into national policy, with influence reaching the absolute highest levels.
And when we say highest levels, we mean it. We're talking about direct lines to the most powerful people in the world. The source is actually called Jensen Huang, a regular late-night phone buddy of President Donald Trump. And it gets even crazier. The U.S. government itself has used access to NVIDIA's chips as a massive bargaining chip in high-stakes trade negotiations with China.
In fact, if you look closely, you can see a clear three-step geopolitical strategy starting to form, with these chips right at the center of it all. Step 1, use access to the chips as leverage in negotiations. Step 2, onshore. Bring that critical chip manufacturing back to American soil. And then, Step 3, control. You manage the exports to make sure your rivals stay, and I quote, addicted to the American technology stack. It's a fascinating and incredibly high-stakes game of chess.
All right, so moving from the global stage to inside the company itself, NVIDIA is this powerful case study in the very thing it's selling to the world. Productivity. You know the phrase, practice what you preach? Well, they are the living embodiment of it. And the efficiency gains they've seen are just staggering. Get this. By giving their own engineers AI tools, NVIDIA managed to nearly quadruple their chip production. But here's the real kicker. They did all that while only doubling their number of employees. I mean, that is a mind-blowing leap in productivity.
So, when you see a number like that, quadruple the output with only double the people, it naturally leads to the one big question that is on everybody's mind right now, right? Will AI take my job?
Well, Jensen Huang has an interesting two-part answer to that. On one hand, he's very direct about it. He says, yep, some jobs will disappear. They'll just become obsolete. But on the other hand, he has this much more optimistic vision. He argues that all the productivity and growth that AI unlocks will actually end up creating more jobs than it destroys.
But, and this is a really crucial piece of advice for literally anyone thinking about their career right now, he says, the threat isn't AI coming to take your job. No, the real threat is a person who knows how to use AI. So the challenge for all of us is to adapt and to learn.
So where does all this leave us? Well, with people like Jensen Huang at the helm, it feels like we're accelerating into a totally new era, and at a speed that's, both completely exhilarating and, yeah, a little bit terrifying.
The sources argue that what we're seeing here is a fundamental shift. These tech titans, they're not just building products for us to use anymore. They're actively steering the course of civilization. They have, in a very real sense, grabbed the wheel of history.
And that puts us on a path that's been described as all gas, no brakes. We are just hurtling towards a future that's going to be highly automated, unbelievably productive, but also deeply uncertain. The only thing we know for sure, it's arriving a whole lot faster than any of us can truly imagine. If you found this video informative and entertaining, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to AI Scholar for more such videos. See you in the next one.